A Republican congressman is now being incredibly candid about his support for the giant tax cut bill. Now, this is Representative Chris Collins, and he was talking to a reporter and said that his donors were putting a lot of pressure on him to keep these certain tax breaks in the Republican bill. He said, quote, "My donors are basically saying, get it done or don't ever call me again." Wow. So this is incredibly honest and actually, look, a little surprising when it comes to Republican donors. And these are the people that are like, hey, man, look, we bankroll you. We want these tax cuts and you are not delivering on these tax cuts. And if you continue to fail, then we're going to take our money. We're going to put it somewhere else. Incredible honesty. Now, The Hill says, The Hill reports that House GOP leaders are now pushing an aggressive timeline for overhauling the tax code for the first time since 1986. And of course, whenever they rush something like a gigantic complex piece of legislation, it usually works out really well. I mean, look at the repeal and replace bill. Oh, right. We seem to have the ACA still intact. Oops. They hope to pass the bill, which was only unveiled last week, before Thanksgiving so that it can be enacted into law by the end of the year. So rush, 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 get it out, get it out, get it out. Do it now before we don't have, before we no longer have the ability to actually get it done. And I think one of the things that they're aiming for is let's get it done before the midterms so we can say, hey, look, we actually did something, even though it massively benefited us and our donors. And that's, of course, the biggest problem with this bill. It would obviously help the wealthiest Americans. In fact, the bill would cut the corporate tax rate from 35% to 20%. It's a huge giveaway. And eventually eliminate the estate tax within 6 years. It would also eliminate the alternative minimum tax, which is designed to establish a limit on exemptions. That's something that Donald Trump himself has paid, despite him not paying any other taxes because of his massive losses. Okay, so if it weren't for the alternative minimum tax, in certain years, Donald Trump wouldn't have paid any taxes from what we know of his tax returns. Now, those things, of course, those provisions would all go to help the top earners in the country. For example, the estate tax only impacts about 0.2% of all households in America. So those are people making just over $5 million a year. If you're making $5 million a year, you're actually doing pretty good. I don't think you need a tax cut. Now, that same bill also eliminates deductions for the middle class. For example, the bill eliminates the state and local tax deduction, a tax credit for adoptive parents, and caps the mortgage interest deduction up to loans of $500,000, which is half of the current $1 million. That, of course, would impact people in blue states. For example, you've got New York and California. A lot of middle-class home buyers take advantage of that home interest mortgage deduction. Now, it also eliminates the medical deduction, which, again, hits primarily the middle class. About 9 million households, 6% of tax filers, have claimed the medical expense deduction. Those who benefit tend to be middle and upper middle income people. There's another piece of that legislation which would also hit students. It would tax tuition waivers as income. It would hit graduate students. And that's, again, whom it would impact the most. But, of course, they are not apparently an important special interest group, and they don't give to the Republican Party. Now, Collins told reporters that, quote, every special interest is out in force. I'd say the more they come out, it's an indication that we're doing a darn good job. Really now. A good job for whom? From the way that I see it, look, Republicans are definitely working for their big donors. I mean, that's what they were paid to do. That's what they were bought to do with these campaign contributions. I give you your campaign, and then you go and you get me the tax cuts that I want. But here's the funny thing, right? Republicans are doing very, very badly at trying to pass this tax cut. I mean, they've got one chance to do this, and so far, they're bungling it so bad. And it's funny because they have the House, they have the Senate, they have the presidency, and they only need 50 Senate votes. This should be a layup. They've got 52, I believe, that they can go and vote with. So if they lose 3, they're done with. If they mess this up, it's going to be a disaster for the party because, again, here are the donors saying, look, if you can't get this done, then we're closing our wallets for good. You guys don't deserve our money. Look at how much money we're wasting on your incompetence. And again, they are incompetent. I mean, look, one of the reasons they wanted to get rid of the ACA, as I mentioned earlier, is the taxes in the ACA that actually pay for certain things are progressive, which means they impact the rich even more. The donors were like, I don't like those taxes. I'd like to get rid of those, and I'd like to get somewhere over $700 million in tax cuts. Well, that ACA repeal would have been an appetizer compared to what the tax cuts would amount to in this GOP tax bill. They want the main course now, since they couldn't get the appetizer. So they are lobbying furiously to get it done. Now this bill, to show you how much they want it, it has about $1.4 trillion worth of tax cuts. At least half of it, probably more, end up going to benefit strictly the wealthiest Americans. They've got to do it or the donors are out. So they're going to push and they're going to push and they're going to push. Now, earlier today, I actually read that John McCain decided, hey, you know what? No, I'm not going to be in favor of this tax bill. F off. That's amazing. I wouldn't think that John McCain, again, would stick a finger in Trump's eye. Then again, maybe it makes sense. Maybe that, no, I'm not going to go there. But look, they're going to keep changing this until they get the votes that they want. But look, their timetable is running out. By all accounts, this is not dead. But it's going to keep coming back until they can try to push this through. But the clock is ticking, man. But nonetheless, this admission from Collins is very, very interesting because here's a Republican actually being honest about the donors. It's not about like, oh, no, I'm trying to help the middle class. No, it's my donors want it done, and it's going to benefit the donors. And if I don't actually do what they want and give them these giant tax cuts, then they're going to leave me. Unprecedented honesty. And in Washington, that honesty is rare indeed. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.